Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the podcast where we think we know everything, but we really don't know ish. There's a family show tonight, so we're not gonna do the cursing, but we don't know ish. Uh, but tonight we are going to talk with an amazing guest who does know a whole lot more than us. He's actually lived it on the field. People that aren't really on the field, a lot of times they don't know what they're talking about. And it gets really aggravating to hear them talk like, man, you should have caught the ball. Do you know how hard it is to catch the ball when you got these guys, these big dudes running at you full speed? It's tough, man. It's real tough. So tonight we are going to talk to somebody who actually lived it. And also, he made a great life for himself after football. He does a lot for the city, even more than some guys that have played in the city, and we cherish them like God. But yeah, so I can't wait to talk to him, and it's gonna be a great show. Kamish, you know what to do. Let's do it.
You are now rocking with the Chicago Clubhouse podcast, where they think they know everything, but honestly, they don't know shit.
You watch these summer league games and they tell you about these new up and coming coaches.
I think we should get rid of every motherfucking owner in Chicago.
Enzo and Caruso, both when they are on the court, are like your defensive generals.
But they need to get that strong safety who's not scared to hit somebody.
They really don't know shit.
And we are back. We are back. And we are going to have a good time tonight. But before we start, introduce my all-star team, I do want to take a moment to thank Miss Teresa for making this happen. Can we give her some hand claps, please? Clap. Can you turn my mic up a little bit? Also, I want to thank everybody that came out to witness this and to eat some really good food. Don't forget to tip your server, tip your bartender. Make sure you go get a drink. Like I said, we're gonna have a good time, so make sure you have your glass full. I do want to acknowledge some of the people that we invite. Vic, thanks for coming out. Amp, who's one of our guys on our team, thanks for coming out. Kristen, Pip, Chris, Lola, of course, and our guy Bucks. That's on the computers, the cameras and the mics. So I want to bring out my team. First up, the man who knows all stats from the 80s and 90s basketball and football, my man JB. What's good, man? You in a good mood today?
Man, I'm in a great mood. You see what we got here? Atmosphere, good people, good food, good places. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it, man. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Okay,
I'm pumped.
JB's usually like in a terrible bah humbug mood. So
Have you seen the Bears last year? Wouldn't you be in a bad mood too?
yeah, I hear you, man. Well, it's good to see you in a good mood, bro. It's good to see that. All right, let's bring up our next all-star. who usually has the foulest mouth in the city, but he is a new dad. So maybe he'll tone it down. Also, there's a family show. Let's bring him in. My man, Foul Mouth C. Foul Mouth.
What's going on? How everybody doing tonight? Well, I should say this evening.
Why your voice get deep right there? I should say this evening.
I can talk like a girl too if you want.
Man, what's up with you, man? How you feel?
Oh, I'm
New
feeling
dad?
pretty good. Yeah, new dad, 5-month-old, driving me crazy.
Let's get some claps.
Yeah, you all know you got them kids. They 5 months. They terrible.
You sleepy right now, aren't you?
I'm very sleepy.
All right, last but not least, my man who has the Blackhawks sock, but tonight we ain't talking about no Blackhawks. My man Frank the Tank.
Great seeing you guys.
How you feel, Frank?
I'm always in a good
good?
mood, man. I'm always in a good mood.
You are the biggest family man. You brought your family here tonight.
I did, man.
That
I mean,
is a beautiful thing.
My kids still have never seen the downtown Chicago, so this was their first time seeing Chicago. So I'm happy to bring them. Happy to bring them.
But just be prepared to spend some money in downtown Chicago, boy.
Yeah, I know.
You gonna spend some money.
Luckily, we've already spent some good money here, but it was worth it because I will say, great food here.
Great food.
My kids just made their second order, so
wow.
Yeah.
All right, kids, eat up.
But no, great to be here. I mean, we don't usually get to do a lot of live shows because I'm unfortunately the suburban out here who only really has like the KFCs and the Brown's chickens out there. I ain't got nothing out here. It is, but happy to be here.
That, man. Sorry about that. Well, hey, you can go to Harold's.
I might swing some.
You can go to Harold's.
I don't even have Moore's beer out there. I got nothing. I got Giordano's out in the suburbs.
You do?
I got Giordano's. I'm right next door to like a Giordano's. What's Pizza Hut? Is that where you're going to? Domino's?
Paisan pizza? Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. But tonight, like I was saying, our guest tonight, he has lived football. So he definitely knows what he's talking about. And I'm excited to talk to him because, like I said, we think we know everything, but we really don't know nothing. We don't know nothing.
We claim we do.
Actually,
no, we don't. Our motto says we don't, so I don't know how we claim we do.
Well, we think we do because we have a podcast. We have a podcast, so we think we know a lot, but we know something, but we definitely don't know as much as our guests.
No false advertising, man. No.
Well, let's bring them up, man. Larger than life, Israel Idonije. Clap.
Thank you. One snap. Then call the ambulance. Call help.
So how you feeling, man?
Oh, I feel good. Thanks for having me on the show. I know this has been a long time in the making, so appreciate y'all, making time to come bless the spot and bring your energy, bring your community. We appreciate you.
Beautiful place, man.
Thank
Beautiful
you.
place.
We appreciate you, man. We appreciate this place.
Let's go.
This is a wonderful place, the Staley. You have another one too.
Signature. Yeah, we opened Signature last year, and Staley. This is our 7th week, so we appreciate everybody coming out and supporting. And what's exciting is, for the last 11 years, this restaurant was a Packer bar called Crow's. So,
I had my birthday here.
You did. That's right.
Well, being a Packers bar, we know why it closed.
Yeah, so for it to now to be a Bears bar, right, on the pathway to Soldier Field, 18th Street Bridge is right there. We're excited this coming season and many more, hopefully, to celebrate a lot of wins with our guys. And just, it's like you said, it's been a few rough years, and we're ready for that tide to turn, right? Yeah.
Bear down.
Yeah, let's go.
So let's jump right into it then, man. we had some rough years, but we're looking at the free agent frenzy right now. The Bears are picking up. They're making a lot of good moves. Yeah. Some people think they're making a lot of good moves. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I going into this offseason, I thought the offensive line needed to be a focus area. I think, we have a really talented quarterback in Caleb, rough first season for him. I think he was sacked, 68 times or something like that, 70 times. Yeah, a lot of times his body was getting thrown on the floor, right? So to develop a franchise quarterback in this league that's so offensively focused, you got to be able to protect the quarterback. Right. We did a poor job of that last year, and we were kind of we weren't violent enough on that front offensively. You need violence in this league, especially with your hogs up front. I think getting Tooney, Jackson, Dolman at center. I think we have some veteran guys that know how to play tough, who have some championship experience, who will be able to show these guys what being a pro, what it looks like, how to get it right, and then you get Grady Jarrett, and some talented guys on the DN position. I mean, it looks good. Now I always say, despite all the moves you make in the offseason, it comes down to training camp, how you sharpen the weapon, how you get ready, how the chemistry is built. You can have great talent, but if the chemistry doesn't come together and if the guys don't trust each other, if they don't execute Sunday in, Sunday out, all of that talent is wasted. So it's going to come down, and that really comes down to coaching, right? So when you look at what Johnson's, the tenure he's come from, the success he's had, I'm hoping he's able to analyze the talent he has and put those guys in the right position to win, right? And it starts now.
And thank you for that, because we clarify, we do choose violence on our offensive line. we would love to have
that's right,
a violent, mauling offensive line.
The dogs.
But you said something so profound right there. When you say the names that you just mentioned, right? Getting the right people and going along with the coaching, that is so important. And with this kid who could basically be something in Chicago that we've never, ever had before,
that's right,
you have to protect your assets.
Yeah, that's right.
And why wouldn't you get the best of the best?
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're absolutely right. You got a guy like Caleb, you make this massive investment and you go all in at the quarterback position. You got to make sure that he has the henchmen that allow him to do. I mean, you saw last year, there were times where he threw passes that were impressive, right? He would thread that ball in there and make plays that were just impressive. You're like, man, this kid, he has something, right? And obviously, and you've seen across the years, guys that come out of collegiate football to the league and they can't do it. It's a different game. Like there's probably one or two dogs on the collegiate level. When you get in the league, everybody's a dog. Everybody's tough. It's nasty across all fronts. So you can see that he has that talent to be an NFL quarterback. And, I trust, what Poles is doing. It's yes, everybody had really high hopes last year, but I think reality hit. We need more. And I think you could see his focus was in just what you mentioned, doubling down on that investment, getting the offensive line that's going to be required to help them, not just physically on the field, but I think the element of also bringing the other guys along, guys who you gotta on every team, you gotta have guys that show the other guys how to win, show them how to be a pro, the guys that are in there early, the guys that are in their playbook, knowing their plays, and there's always a few guys that don't know their plays on Sundays. They don't know what they're doing, and you need the vets to bring them along. So I'm hoping that with these moves that they made, we find that.
And I want you said it perfectly right there in the end too, because this is something we've been saying for the last 3-4 years when they traded away all their veteran type players and everything. You had no veterans to help bring these young kids.
That's
up.
Right.
And I know, and I mean, continuity is a very big thing on that offensive line. There's no question about that. So bringing in 3 new people, you don't know how the continuity is going to be. But you brought in 3 proven people with great leadership ability who are soldiers.
That's right.
Bears. That's a positive thing. And I just wanted to ask you, how important is that leadership role, especially when you're going in your rookie season with a young quarterback?
Oh, it's critical, right? It's critical. And, you look at a guy like Keenan. I thought, he was going to be a a pivotal piece as far as leadership. And also, like, he brings a relaxedness, a looseness to the game, right? You get into a game, a lot of guys, if you're uptight, if you're nervous, if you're anxious, it's hard to perform. If you're just, this is a game, guys, let's have fun. And Keenan brought that to the table, right? But that leadership piece it's so important, right? I call it the playbook, right? A guy comes in the league, a vet guy says, hey, here's my playbook on what success looks like. I wake up at this time, I get in, I get my workout done, and I get in the cold tub. My early career, I never got in the cold tub. I never stretched. You know, I was just, I could do this all day. I got up, I got after it. Boy, towards the end, rolling out, cold tub, right? Just these little things that give you longevity in the game are so important. You need the older guys to say, hey, young buck, get in this cold tub. You know, yeah, you feel good, but, you know, if you want to play 11, 12 years, it's important to take care of the body. Hey, just don't know your position. Make sure you know these other positions and the importance of creating value for yourself as a player. A lot of guys just say, hey, this is my job. The reason I was able to last so long was I knew the end position. I knew the 3 technique. I knew the nose. That allowed us to dress 7 guys on Sunday, and I could play every position if anyone went down on the line. And then I was able to get in the games and fortunately make some plays and contribute, leading to an 11-year career, right? That veteran on the team is so critical in helping these young guys learn those skills, those traits, and those abilities early in their career.
Well, Izzy, once again, thank you.
No, I appreciate you
joining us. We know that football is the ultimate team sport.
That's right.
And with it being the ultimate team sport, coaching is so critical to, because as we've seen the last 2 years, the Chicago Bears have lost 13 games by 1 score or less.
That's right.
13. So in stating that, what would be your advice to a first-time rookie head coach and Ben Johnson when this is going to be his first head coaching position, and he's coming into a team where he really doesn't know too many players. He's coached against them, and also having more veterans. What should he tell, or what should he establish early so the team won't think of him as a joke? Because it seems like that's what happened with Matt Eberflus.
Let me tell you something. I'm a little bit of an old school guy, so I don't love the rah dancing around. Like, I don't love all that. I love bone on bone, test early. You got to be tough early so you know who the dogs are. And the guys who can't cut it, you weed them out through training camp. You know, I know the rules have changed, so you can't go 7 days, 2 full padded practices a day. You can't do that no more. But within the rules of the game, make it hard, push the guys hard, set the standard high, and let anybody know that if you can't meet the standard, you're not going to be here, right? And that's the culture that we had, especially, you know, when we had Rod Marinelli. I mean, it was some of the toughest, and Lovie Smith, some of the toughest training camps. I think we had 3 guys over my 10 years with the Bears that weren't on the practice field. They were like, where are they? They went into their rooms, playbooks on the bed, guy's gone. Can't do it, right? It's just not easy mentally to get through it. I remember I was like, my ankle was hurt. And I went to Bobby Slater. I was like, hey, my ankle hurts. And he said, hey, Rook, you can't make the club from the tub. Tape the ankle up, get out there and practice. Get out there and practice, right? And that's the mindset they're going to need, because the season's tough. It's hard. It's long. And, you know, you have to have this mindset of, you know, the weak get left behind. You know, Rod Marinelli would always say, you know, we're on this train, and the guys who are at the back of the train, kick them off the end and kick them off the tracks, get them off the train. The guys who keep moving to the front, that was his mindset. He said, when you wake up, your wife or your girlfriend, they go to give you a hug, club rip, swim, you know, dip the edge on them. He just wanted you to live football, right? Don't touch me, get off you, use your hands, right? There are no alignment. He just, every day of your life, he wanted you eating, breathing, drinking your technique and your football, right? And that's the standard that he set for us in our room, in our meeting room. Said no excuses, no explanations. And he would start that: no excuses, no explanations. Did you make the play? Did you get it done? And I think for Coach going into the season, that's the toughness he needs to demand from his guys. And after you know what everybody's made of, then you can start to kind of pull back and kind of release the heavy hand. But I think right out of the gate, you got to really set the tone of what this team's going to be. And the Bears are a hard-nosed football team, right? When it gets cold, it's a different game out here, right? And guys got to be ready for that.
That's why running backs are very important
That's
here
right.
in Chicago.
That's right.
For sure.
So you mentioned coaching, and let's talk about Lovie Smith for a second. A lot of guys that we talked to, we asked them, how was it playing for Lovie? And I remember Corey Wooten, he said that he would run through a wall for Lovie Smith. Do you feel like that?
Oh, absolutely. I love Coach Smith. I now that he's kind of moved on, he calls me once or twice a year for like, hey, Izzy, there was a play you made here against this team. What was the play? What was the team? So he and I got a great relationship. But he's one of those guys that, you wanted to fight for. And him and Marinelli had a saying that the worst thing you could do for a man is surprise him, right? To spring something on him that he didn't know about. So Lovie did a great job of saying, hey, Izzy, this is what you need to do here. This is what I need from you. Hey, this is what I need from you. This is what I need from you. And if you guys just do this, do your job, execute your play when it comes to you, we're going to win a lot of football games. And he was just always even-keeled, never yelled, never screamed. He was one of those guys that you had a tremendous amount of respect for, and you didn't want to disappoint. And, he was just a phenomenal coach, right? I think he did a great job of setting the vision of what winning was going to be like for our team, and then articulating to every player how they would contribute to that vision. And I think that's what made him so great.
So let me ask you, let me get your opinion on this. Why they let him go at 10-6, man?
I mean,
that's the big
made no
question,
sense.
It
Made
didn't
no
make
sense.
any sense to me.
I think that was the Emery regime, was it? Phil Emery?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah. So when Phil Emery came on, I think it just, again, I have nothing against Phil, but I think he single-handedly set us back somewhat from the path we were on, right?
We agree.
He gets rid of Lovie Smith at 10-6. Yes, everybody wanted to make the playoffs. 10 should get you in. It did in that particular year. I think there was the Giants on a weird, they got in over us, right? So 10 doesn't get us in, but we still won 10 games, right? We still had a top 5 defense in the league. We still had a lot of weapons. The offense needed to be adjusted. Emery came in, they get rid of Lovie, they dismantle the defense, right? They don't even offer Urlacher or anything, right? It's somewhat disrespectful. And when you look at what Pittsburgh did with Troy Polamalu, right? They said like Troy, you're towards the end. Do you want to play one more? He said, I do. They said, all right, play one more, right? The respect for a guy who's meant so much to the club, to the city. I mean, Emery, because obviously it didn't mean it. Urlacher meant nothing to him, kind of handled that situation incorrectly, and then just really dismantled the defense. You dismantled the strongest part of the team, and we've been rebuilding ever since.
Ever since.
I hate that word. That's a cussing word, rebuild.
That's right.
Sick of hearing it here.
It was tough. It was tough for all of us, but even myself, they cut me. I was hurt, because I thought I was going to retire Chicago Bear, right?
Boo.
I went up to Detroit for 1 year, and I said,
boo.
Wait. He had to get a job.
Don Burr might be listening.
When I went to Detroit, though, interesting enough, I realized how special what we had in Chicago was, right? Like, I played with a group of guys that I loved. We had a lot of fun defensively. We just had a culture that I didn't realize till I left, that, man, a lot of these teams don't got that culture. A lot of teams don't have that ability to communicate and execute, and the heart we played with, right? We were racing to like who could get to the ball, who could make the play. Peanut was knocking in practice. He's punching out the balls in practice and just beating up our offense. And that made our offensive guys work harder and play harder. And in our locker room, defensively, it's like we got to score 7. We got to put the offense in position to score. We got to take the ball away X amount of times. Like we had all these milestones that we wanted to achieve every single Sunday, and we had fun, and then going to Detroit, it for the first time felt like a job, for the first time, it was like, and then I was sitting in my locker one day, and then Nick Farrelly, who's a stud, was like, "Hey, what's up, OG?" And I was like, "I'm the OG now. I'm the old guy."
You're 11.
Oh man, 11 years in, it was time,
Wow.
So
I have to ask this because we watch TV, we hear about NIL deals. We know the kid that's in 7th grade on the best flag team is about to go to Georgia. Like we know all that right now, right? Your path was a little different. Your college was a little different.
Yeah.
Your draft positioning and your scouting was a little different. Tell us how Israel Idonije gets to the Bears from the College of Manitoba.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. Growing up, playing football in the NFL was never a dream of mine. My dream was actually to play for the Chicago Bulls. I got accepted into
They need all the help they can get.
Rebuild.
Rebuild. And I was actually at my grade 12 year. Well, actually, I went out for a football practice in grade 9. I was a basketball player, and it was raining. It was wet. It was cold. I remember we did this gauntlet drill. They put me up against like the biggest grade 12 kid because I was a big grade 9. I was big in grade 9. Land on my back. He's on his back. They throw the ball. You got to spin up and tackle each other. And I was just like, I do not like this game. I went out to one practice in grade 9, left. I'm going to stick with basketball. Then in grade 12, I was running after school programs at the YMCA. My boss in that program said, "Hey, I'm starting a 9-man football league at Vincent Massey, my high school. Come play." So I went out, I played 9-man football, and I actually played running back, and I was like, okay, this is cool. At the end of that season, he called my mother and said, "Hey, I got Izzy a tryout for Team Manitoba to play for the provincial team, like the state team, because I think he's going to be a great football player." I didn't want to go. So I planned on not going. And then she called me like, "Hey, whether you like it or not, son, you're going to this practice because your coach got you this opportunity. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? You'll be right back here in Brandon. If it works out, who knows where God's going to take you in your life," right? So she drove me against my will 2.5 hours. I cried in the car, and I did not want to play football. I get out there. I make the team. And so I made Team Manitoba, the state team. At that practice that day was the head coach of the University of Manitoba. He said, "Hey, young man, come play at our university." And also University of North Dakota said they wanted me to come play. But North Dakota just seemed like so far. Manitoba was 2 hours from where I lived. So I just went to Manitoba, And then I played there, I redshirted my first year. I played in one game my second year. And then my third year, the starter ahead of me was academically ineligible. So by default, I became the starter. I was CanWest All-Star. I led the team in sacks. I led the league in sacks. And then a coach from the Cleveland Browns, Yogi Jones, was looking at another player and said, "Hey," to my head coach, Brian Dobie, "is there anybody else that we should look at?" And Coach Dobie said, "Well, I got this one kid. He's only played like 9 games, but he's our biggest, fastest, strongest kid." Yogi stayed, watched us practice, and said, "Hey, young man, I think you could play in the NFL." So the Browns signed me to a free agent contract. $10,000 was my signing bonus. I was the richest man on earth. Hey, you can tell me anything, like 21, $10,000 signing bonus to play football. It was amazing. I ended up right before our first preseason game. Tim Couch was our quarterback. Butch Davis was the head coach. Dave Campo was our D coordinator. I was playing right end. Tim Couch rolled out to the left. He reversed field. I planted my foot and I broke my left ankle. Just like that. They sent me back to Canada, and I was just at home, and I was in hiding. My mother came to me and said, Izzy, an opportunity is going to come. And the question is, when it comes, will you be ready? And I started doing my therapy, started doing my rehab. And I met, every year they invite 2 Canadians to an all-star game here in Canada, America, called the East-West Shrine Bowl in San Francisco. Yeah. So my last year at the university before going to Cleveland, I was one of the 2 Canadians invited. At that all-star game, I met Jerry Angelo. And just a quick story about the all-star game. I'd never played American football before. It was my first time playing American rules football. In American rules football, you're lined right up on the ball. In Canadian football, you have to line up a yard off the ball. So I'm lining up. These old linemen are faster, bigger than anything I've ever played. My coach just keeps yelling, get up on the ball. I'm backing up to kind of give myself space for vision to see what they're doing. Mm-hmm. My first practice, I'm dominated. Second practice, I got a little better. I got into a massive fight with a kid from Alabama. He rips my helmet off, and we're just throwing blows. Boom, boom, boom. Ty Willingham was our head coach for my team. He called the practice and said, hey, guys, this is an all-star game. Why are we fighting like this? Called it, and then, before he left, he said, hey, kid, he didn't know my name. He said, hey, 77 was my number. Here in America, when your helmet comes off, stop fighting. All right. And I was like, all right. But when I was walking off the field, Jerry Angelo was standing in the middle of the field. And he said, hey, young man, I just want to introduce myself to you. You ran the hardest out here today out of everybody out here. I wanted to shake your hand and say, I saw your effort. And which to young athletes, I always say, your effort is free, right? It's just like, if you're a young athlete out there, running into the ball is free. Yes, I had never played American football before. Yes, I was getting down blocked and they were trapping me, and I didn't, the speed of the game was so much faster than I had ever been used to. But when the ball was gone, 77 was going to be at the ball every time taking off, right? And that was free, and that put me on Jerry's radar. So when Cleveland cut me, he called me, and they signed me to a 1-week contract here in Chicago. My agent was like, Jerry, 1 week. And Jerry's like, hey, let's get through the first week. At the end of that week, they extended me to the end of the year. At the end of the year, they sent me to NFL Europe. I lived in Germany for 4 months. I played for the Berlin Thunder. We won a world championship with Berlin. And I came back and I made the 53-man roster. And that 1 week turned into a 10-year career with the Bears and 11 years in totality. It was a great journey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Beautiful story.
That is awesome story.
Knowing somebody that's coming up from the trenches right there.
Yeah.
Man. Like starting from the bottom and getting up, that is impressive.
I appreciate you. It was such a blessing. And I think back, thank God I didn't stay in Cleveland. Chicago is just a better city,
Nobody from Cleveland out there.
Yeah, right? Cleveland's.
Okay. Oh, we got one. Okay, we love Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks.
We love you too, though. We love you.
We love Cleveland. We love Cleveland.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, great place.
Okay.
So, Izzy, I want you to put your GM hat on.
Okay.
Right now, the Chicago Bears have the number 10 pick. But unlike last year's draft, there are no superstars in this, at least not projected. As the so-called experts say, there's not that franchise-changing type player. Mm-hmm. At number 10, we got a couple options. Do you draft best player available? Do you move back because there aren't no superstars? Or do you try to address some needs that the Bears did actually address as far as with the trenches on both sides of the football?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when I always look at, offense, defense, and special teams, these 3 components of the game, if you do not have a playmaker, someone who at some point in the game will impose their will and make a play. Like I felt Roquan Smith was one of those guys, right? You didn't know when or how, but at some point in the game, he was going to do something, right? So best available, but to me, the best available isn't always that guy, right? So again, and I've always said the scouting division, some of the moves he made over the years are questionable, right? are questionable, in my opinion, right? So it's like when you look at just NFL talent, guys who can come in and start playing today and make plays, over the years in the past, sometimes I always wondered, like, man, this is like me as a vet looking at some guys they drafted. I'm like, man, this guy's not gonna make it. This guy's not gonna make it, right? So I think my approach would be best available, but as I'm looking at their scouting tapes and I'm doing the breakdowns and breaking down the positions, I'm looking for guys that consistently throughout their games are just imposing their will upon their opposition, upon the guys that they're lined up across, and they just are dictating, tempo and setting the pace of the game, right? But I think with best available, generally, I think that's a good approach. And sometimes I think it's somewhat of a, I don't want to say cop out, but it's like the easy way to go, just to take the best guy available, But as long as he's a playmaker, right? I think when we lost Roquan, we kind of lost that. Another guy who was like that wouldn't do anything all game and all of a sudden make a play, Eddie Jackson, right? Just like he would just
that's Terrence's nemesis right there.
But he was good. He at some point was gonna do something, and it just never failed. He was gonna at some point show up and make a play, right? And you need guys like that on all three of those positions, in my opinion, to be able to make it a deep run, to be able to win a championship, to be a problem in this league.
If you hear our intro and you hear the Terrence say the safety who's not afraid to hit somebody, that's Eddie Jackson.
Yeah,
all right, that's true. He was never a fan of Eddie Jackson.
Man, after he signed that contract, it's like he didn't do anything else.
Pockets too heavy. Pockets too heavy.
I wanted to ask you one thing, since we did kind of dig into the draft, and this is a respectful argument that me and Fowl have pretty much for the last few weeks now. Will Campbell, all right, he is the offensive tackle. All right, he great lower body, great leg strength, great footwork, great everything. But the biggest question mark with him, he doesn't have those long arms that offensive tackles usually have. Mm-hmm. I want to know from your perspective, since you are known for punishing offensive linemen, if somebody has what they say excellent footwork and excellent lower body, can he not be successful in the NFL as an offensive tackle?
I mean, with great footwork and great strength, but short arms, can he have a great career? Is that the question?
As an offensive tackle. Because can he get moved over to guard? Yes, but we did just sign two very good guards.
Well, the challenge with being a tackle with short arms is like you look at guys like, Adewale Gunle, like guys who use the stab a lot. God, those arms, so if you study a guy, and again in the league all week, we will get a package on him who we're facing. He's an inside hand puncher. He's an outside hand puncher. He's susceptible to the stab. He's got short arms. Stab, take the hand off. Guys are gonna exploit that, right? So, he's gonna have to. We call it the toolkit. He's gonna have to, in his toolkit, understand that in his chess match up against these elite edge rushers, whoever he's going up against, he's gonna have to be quick at replacing the hand. He's gonna have to be great at catching the hand, catching the wrist. And if his arms really are that short,
below offensive tackle standards. I'm not saying T-Rex arms like some of our fans.
That sounds short. I mean, I think.
Oh, it is. Like right now, they're saying that this guy, if he was to start at the tackle position, he will have the shortest arms of any tackle starting in the NFL.
In the league. Wow.
In the league.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. You know what the good news is? We're going to find out. We're going to find out, especially when you go into these preseason games and these young guys are going up against, guys, the beautiful thing about the game is you will be exposed, right? You look at guys like, take a Johnny Manziel, right? As great as he looked, in college, he was running away from men's on the backside. In the league, guess what?
Can't run.
Ran down. Yeah. Zero chance. He was just getting abused, right? If you have a weakness, and every even Caleb, right? If you don't adjust And if you don't learn the ability to make adjustments to the adjustments folks are making to you, you're not gonna make it, right? So if he has short arms, it will be exploited very quickly, and he'll have to learn how to catch the hand. If he has great footwork, that's going to help him just staying in front of guys. But you got to the whole O lineman, their whole drill is to put their hands on you, right? So he'll have some work to do there. I'm sure he's going to have great coaching strategy and great, but if he can't, he'll be out of there. That we do know.
Yeah, because we always look at he came from LSU, so we know he has monster offensive or defensive pass rushers that he went up
That's
against.
right.
He allowed 3 sacks his entire collegiate career, and he only had three holding calls his entire collegiate career. So, I mean, he's got to be doing something right with those short arms.
Yeah, an O-lineman with great feet is a problem, right? An O-lineman with great feet is really a problem. And if he's one of those guys, there's some guys, like I remember, what's his name? Mark Tauscher, Green Bay Packers. This guy was just a blob. Ugh. But somehow he just managed to get in front of you and hold you long enough. Like he just did enough to let Brett or Aaron or the guy just do their thing, right? And some guys don't have all the physical aspects dialed in, but they just have a knack for being in the way and getting the job done. Ross Verba was same way, right? He's just not the greatest athlete, but he was just a problem, And so hopefully he figures it out, and he's gonna have a short window to do so. But like you said, he comes from kind of the cream of the crop as far as collegiate talent, and can he translate that to the pro game?
Like you said, we shall see. Let's segue real quick, Izzy, to one of the top moments for us as Bears fans. We made it to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You was a part of that.
Yeah.
Man, clap that up, man. Yeah. Super Bowl.
That was incredible.
Take us through that, because when you talk about the guys that you had on that team, the first ever Super Bowl that featured 2 black coaches.
Yeah.
Monumental, not just on the field, but in the world culturally as well. How was that week for you? How was leading up to the Super Bowl and even playing, even though we came up a little short, but how was that for you? Because everybody doesn't get there.
Oh, it was incredible. And to your point, I mean, there's a lot of guys who've played long careers and have never even won a playoff game, right? Mm-hmm. So to make it to the Super Bowl, it was an incredible experience. It is the biggest stage in all of professional sports. I was in the Jerusalem Press. I was on Jay Leno, right? It's like me and Wale were walking down the streets in Miami, and everybody just started cheering like, "Go Bears, go Bears!" Let me tell you something. Bears fans are the best travel fans in all of football. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was in Turks and Caicos, Bears fans. I was in London for this last year's international game. Bears fans, the bar we threw a Bears party. You couldn't move in there. It was shoulder to shoulder. They said the last one, I think the Vikings played, the place was empty. They said, they were like, there's nothing like Bears fans. Y'all show up like none other, right? It's just so special. So we took over Miami, right? And I also feel we had a really great game plan, leading up to that week. I mean, we made some mistakes going into that game. I think, again, we should have probably stayed with Kyle Orton. We went with Rex in that Super Bowl. We should have stayed with Thomas Jones, not switch into Cedric Benson, right? So you make these leadership calls that ultimately cost us a game that, opening kickoff, Hester takes the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. The ground is vibrating. It was like an earthquake. The Bears Nation was cheering so hard. It was incredible. It was like one of those moments, the hair on your hands just on edge. Oh my God. It was nothing like it. And then to lose that game really on just mistakes that we made. I think we had something like 83 defensive plays. It was like unheard of. A turnover after turnover. We were in the middle of a monsoon. It was just a bad day on all fronts. that set aside, it was one of the most special experiences of my life. After the game, Lance Briggs called everybody up. Is like, obviously we didn't know the team was going to get dismantled, but don't worry, guys, we'll be back. We're going to be back. We're going to be back. And we never even sniffed it after that. It was just, you don't realize how hard it is to get back to that final game, that last page in the chapter of the season. And so as I look back, it was special. I was so locked in. I didn't party. I didn't do anything. Right. None. I was trying to win. But it was really, all in all, just a really special moment. It would have been incredible to have been able to win that championship. And we still got this ring that's like this big. The second place ring is silly. It's like the size of this cup. But it's like dusty in the bottom of a jar somewhere. Ain't nobody want a second place ring.
If you ain't first, you're last.
That's right.
Speaking of that Super Bowl, true story. This is probably the first time. Well, when Hester took that touchdown, when he took it back, that's probably the first time in my life I almost blacked out. And what was so crazy about that Super Bowl was that a lot of people, I think they tend to forget that we actually had 2 Pro Bowlers that was missing. Tommy Harris and Mike Brown both were out that Super Bowl. I want to ask you this. You going to play 10, 11 years in the NFL. We had a guest come on. I'm going to tell his name, Jeff Blake.
Quarterback?
Jeff Blake, yeah, a quarterback. Actually, he was telling us that he was actually on the Bears that year.
The third string.
Yeah, third string quarterback. Is there such thing as, I believe it is, such thing as ego and politics in the NFL, and particularly on NFL teams?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, not playing Thomas Jones after he was already at like 100 yards, that's politics.
I ain't want to say nothing.
That's politics.
I was going to let you say it.
That's politics. That move was like not handing Marshawn Lynch the football on the 1 yard line, right? Like that's the same move, right? And yeah, I mean, you look out throughout the season, in any team across the league, there's moves being made that sometimes don't make sense to us as players. You're like, what are they doing? But they're up there looking at a different strategy. They're up there looking at numbers. They're up there looking at just data points that for us, there's one data point: win. Sunday, win. That's it, right? And you look at was it Lovey when he won that game? Was it with the Texans? Yeah, he wanted to win, right?
Us.
Right.
He needs a statue.
And
Thank you,
that
Lovey.
was us exactly.
Yes, he won that for us.
Right. So like that's the player mindset. It's like we're not thinking like we want to win. Like this guy across from me, I want to get as many sacks as I can on him, and I want to make as many plays. Upstairs in the suites, that's not. They're looking at it completely different. They're playing a different game, right? There was one particular game. I mean, I want to say Marty Booker practiced all week, right? We get into the locker room. No Marty. Traded to the Dolphins for Adewale Agunle.
Yeah, not a bad trade.
It was a great trade. But can we do it after the game?
Yeah.
He's been a part of the game plan all week. Now you trade him, and now you like the whole game plan's got to change, right? He's an important part of the offense, right? But to them, hey, we'll figure it out. We'll next man up. Let's make this move. It's a good trade. It had to be done at that time, and they do it, right? Where someone like me is like, hey, let's utilize him so we can win this game, and let's do it afterwards. But yeah, politics, a ton of ego, right? When you look at how Hester was handled, how Brian Urlacher was handled, that's ego, right? That's just like folks sometimes, just not treating some of these guys that so on every team, there's guys that just call for a certain amount of respect, in my opinion, right? And sometimes that doesn't happen, and that's that ego that sometimes is getting involved, but yeah, it happens on every team.
Let me ask you this, since you did bring up Super Bowl and the game plan for that Super Bowl. Who came up with the game plan? May he rest in peace, Cedric Benson. But why did he get the ball 75% of the time instead of Thomas Jones, frankly, the one guy who got you there?
Well, they told us, they had said before the game that they were going to split time. You know, at least that's what I heard as defense sitting there like, what are we doing? They're like, no, Thomas was going to get, I think, X amount of carries early, and then the rest of the game was going to be Cedric. But when Thomas started and he was on fire, they're just very different runners, right? Thomas was patient. He let the holes form. Cedric was young and he was running into the backs of his guys, and he hadn't cultivated just the art of reading and being the patience to follow his guys. And because of that, he just wasn't as good as Thomas, right? The other thing we lost when we lost Thomas was we lost a leader. Thomas used to get guys right. He used to circle everybody up, and he was one of the foundational pieces of what made that team, not just offensively, but what made that team special, right? So you lose a guy like that, and then Cedric was not that. Cedric was not going to be the rah-rah, grab a guy by the face mask, hey, I need you to go type guy, right? So you not only lose a talented contributor to the offense, but you lose a guy that's contributing in ways that necessarily you can't quantify or see, right?
So do you feel, and I'll put myself on this sword, the number 4 pick, we draft Cedric Benson, and you guys like, wait, why? When I would have found a way to get Sean Merriman, because we knew, I like Hunter Hillenmeyer, but it's Sean Merriman.
Yeah.
Like that would have been the logical, what you said, best available.
He was incredible, yeah.
That would have been the best player and fit for what we needed.
Yeah.
So how did you all feel, like in the locker room, like, wait, what? We got him. Why are we,
when it comes to the draft, typically, I don't, at least for myself, and I think a lot of guys, we know they're going to draft what they're going to draft. We just make an assessment of the character. I remember looking at some guys, and they have like the rookie training camp. So a lot of guys, we sit back and we watch the rookies practicing. We watch them running sprints. And one year in particular, we all thought the free agent was the second round draft pick, right? The free agent was outworking everybody, right? So we know they're going to draft folks, and we know they're going to get some right. They're going to get some wrong, right? But when Ced got drafted, it was like, okay, they drafted a talented guy. He was supposed to be a stud. We're like, all right, great. He'll contribute. Great. Where Cedric went wrong was he held out. He felt like he carried himself like he was above the culture we had. So when that started happening, it was rough on him. Let me tell you something. His first practice back, Lovey had to call the practice. It might have been Brian, but somebody defensively is like, listen, when he hands the ball to him, every hat to him. Oh, they handed it to Ced. Mom. We just sliced and diced him. Then next time they handed it to him, every hat to him. He was getting abused. Lovey, hey guys, we need this guy for this. We need this guy for this season, right? Take it easy on him. But because he had held out so long, and just the way he did it, it was in a way that, because guys you got to hold out to get your money, right? But after you've done that, you got to still join a brotherhood, right? And over the years, the guys who, especially as a rookie, if a vet says, hey, sing, you just you get up on the table and sing. My rookie year, I had to carry every vet helmet, every shoulder pad by myself, right? And you just do it, right? And if they ask you to do something, you do it. And guess what? After you kind of go through that, you're now one of them, right? You're now a part of it. And over the years, guys who were kind of like the too cool guys, the guys who were too tough, wouldn't do something that a vet asked them to do. It just made being a part of the team and the culture more difficult, and I just remember like Ced's rookie year was a rough year, and he was kind of, because he held out so long, you're not a part of all the building kind of relationally that happens during training camp. You do this, right? And the guys who come out of it, you build a bond with that's like none other. And he missed most of that.
You're one of the guys that stuck it to say it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, man. I had to.
Why not?
If they say, hey, D-line, everybody, defense, every hat to whoever it is, and defensively, like we were a tight unit, right? Across the front, we spent a lot of time together. Linebackers like Hunter, Lance, Lack. We just had a really close group of guys, and we had a lot of fun both on the field and off the field.
So I have seen when I come hang out at Signature, I see you still talk to a lot of the defense that you play with. I see Peanut. I see Garrett Wolf.
Yeah, G Wolf. Zoom's always in the spot.
So you've maintained a lot of friendships that you made playing football. I think that is awesome.
Thank you.
There are some guys, they just play football just for a job. Once the job is over, go home.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
But you've actually built friendships, and you've done a lot for this city, man.
Thank you.
You've done a lot for this city.
The city's done a lot for me. The city's done a lot for me as well. No, thank you. Thank you.
So, we always have a place to hang out. Signature, which is on 13th and Wabash, 1312.
Yeah, 1312 South Wabash. Yep.
Yep. And we have the Staley now.
That's right.
So,
pizza's good. Good. I'm glad.
I want to make sure I get some when this is over. But,
I had the chicken nachos. Chicken nachos.
Chicken nachos.
And thank you for turning this trash Packer bar into something reputable.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, man, we really, really appreciate you taking the time finally to sit down with us, man. This is a long time coming. If you all weren't here earlier, Izzy was saying how I've been on him for 3 years now?
Oh, for sure.
Trying
He
to
hit me
get
up.
this to happen.
Has he been hitting y'all up like, man, I hit Izzy up.
And if you see him ride by, go on and remember us, shoot him the logo.
But yeah, man, this is great. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate Miss Teresa for making this happen.
Thank you. Thanks, Teresa.
And again, I thank everybody.
Appreciate y'all
coming out.
I think we have a few questions in the crowd.
We got some,
we do.
Listen.
We do, little man.
We got a VIP here, young Logan in the building. Logan.
What do you got, Logan?
How did I like playing against the Green Bay Packers? Logan, that's a great question. I love playing against the Green Bay Packers. One of the only, I had a sack list of quarterbacks that I wanted to sack over my career. I got all of them except for Brett Favre. He's the only quarterback. But let me tell you something. There were probably 2-3 times where I thought I had him. I drove him down to the ground, sack. And then when I watched on film, he's like sidearm, sling, throw. But yeah, love playing the Packers. It was always, especially during our time here, it was a vicious rivalry, and it was just a game that we always got up for. And especially the Favre era, that was a lot of fun to be a part of. And I was there when actually we ended his career. When and that was actually Corey Wooten. And I remember Corey drove him into the ground. I came behind Corey. Favre's head hit the turf, and his lips were like purple, and he was just like, he had a concussion. He was concussed. But it was just it's a violent game. But like those moments are it's like why we play. We played to strategize, to scheme, and then to go hunt on Sundays. And the Packers were always a team that we love to hunt for. Great question, Logan. Nice job. Logan, when are we going to see you in a Bears uniform?
Not right now.
He said today.
They need help on the receiving corps.
Hey, we have a question from the chat. One of the first questions was, how expensive was your first meal you had to buy as a rookie?
How expensive was my first meal I had to buy as a rookie. So my rookie year, I was with the Cleveland Browns. I had a bunch of OGs, Courtney Brown, Orpheus Roy, Kennard Lang. So they actually took it easy on me. They did, outside of carry our pads every day, they didn't beat me up too much. But when I became a vet, so Shay McClellan, who I love, Shay, he was I think it was our second round draft pick one year. So his rookie year, we went to Mastros, all the D line, and he ended up getting a like $30,000 bill. And I was sitting at the table, and Shay and the other rookie, we had two rookies that year. They get the bill. They're looking at it. They're talking to each other, whispering. Shay comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder, and says, "Hey, Izzy, I don't even have this amount of money in my bank account. But if you could pay it, I'll figure it out." And we all started laughing because I had Mastros add a bunch of like fake things on the menu. But let me tell you, I mean, he was like white and like palm sweaty, getting a $30,000 check, and we actually recorded. It was a funny moment. Over the years, we actually took care of our guys. Yeah, you pay for a dinner, but it's maybe $5 to $10 grand. $10 if Alex Brown buys a bottle of what's the really expensive red? It's like a Louis the 13th. Louis. Yeah. So like one year, Alex bought a bottle of Louis. So that bill for Marcus Harrison was a big bill that year. But outside of that, you want to take care of your rookies. If you're actually having rookies spend $30,000 on a dinner, you are just a horrible mentor and a horrible vet, right? So that was generally not us. We laughed about it with the guys, but for me, it was just carrying pads.
Okay. We had another question. What is your opinion on how Caleb needs to be handled his second year?
Great question. So what's my opinion on how Caleb needs to be handled second year? Well, I think, shoring up the O-line gives leadership, gives the team, his coaches, the ability to allow him to play truer to kind of who he needs to be, a pocket passer, and I think, ultimately they need to find a way to run a balanced offense, right? They got to be able to run the ball. If you don't have a run threat, then your passing game will never be able to be what it needs to be, right? So you've got to be a threat with the run, right? And I think we kind of lost that as well over the years. But I think if they can get the weapons around them, protect them, make sure that offense is balanced, then the rest is just his God-given talent and then his ability to read a defense and then take what the defense is giving him. There are a few times last year where I felt like he's putting it all on his back. Like he's trying to make the big play and force it in there where you don't got to do that. They're giving you this, take what they're giving you, take the play they're giving you, and you stack enough of those, then you get a touchdown, right? You don't have to, yes, you have a big arm, but they're going to bait, a good defense is going to bait you to throw that big play, and then they're going to pick it, right? And he was susceptible to that a few times. So I think learning how to just properly take what the defense is taking them, and that's reps, and then making sure he has the weapons. And then on the coaching side, they have to run a strategy that at times it just felt a little predictable,
It wasn't little predictable.
Screen right, screen left, screen right again.
All I know is me sitting on the couch knowing every single play that I was getting ready to call. It's not good when somebody gets paid millions of dollars to do that.
Right. So they shore those things up. I think we'll see his development take a major step coming to this next year.
Yeah, and I feel like how you said coaching was a huge difference. I mean, you went out and got the best offensive-minded coach.
Yeah.
In my case, the best available coach, which is nice. The Bears spent money to go out and get that coach as well.
What was the name of the coach from Seahawks?
Pete Carroll. Yeah.
When I heard Carroll in the mix, I got nervous. Please, that's the wrong direction, right? But to your point, That's right. But to your point, I think they got that right.
Yeah, and then they surrounded a new coach with experienced coaches too.
Yeah,
which is huge for someone like Caleb.
Yeah, fantastic. Great question.
So I want to go back several years. When you were a gunner.
Yeah.
And we all know, but most of us know, when you're a gunner on special teams, you sacrifice your body. You are basically putting your body on the line every time you go out there, and you have to run as fast as you can. So, how did you feel when they took you off of that duty and now you're just defensive end?
Oh, man, it was glorious.
Was it like a relief?
Yeah, well, I think, my career, there's progression. I remember, so Mike Haynes, first round draft pick from Penn State, Mike and I were one of us was gonna get cut, that year in particular. And they came to both of us. They said, hey, one of you is gonna play special teams. The other one's gonna play defense. Whoever plays better on special teams is gonna make the team. Mike said, I'm a first round draft pick. I don't play special teams. So when they put him in there for special teams, it looked like he didn't want to play special teams. They put me in there, and it was like a kickoff one-on-one versus Drummond. He's a returner for the Lions. He was a monster. And, the story that Jerry Angelo said was like, when I went down there, one-on-one open field tackle against Drummond, I won that job, right? And they ended up cutting Mike Haynes. And I really cut my teeth on being able to play special teams. I played every special team. They wanted me a gunner. I ran down on gunner. They wanted me wedge buster, wedge setter, punt return, kickoff return, whatever. I wanted to be able to just create value. And then my sights were then set on getting in the rotation, on the nickel package, coming in and just being able to rush the passer third downs, right? And make a few plays. And then from there saying, hey, you know what? This guy's making some plays. Let's use him more, and, thankfully I was able to execute that strategy. And then they reduced my role on special teams, made me a full-time starter. I think that was probably like at my 7th or 8th year in the league at that point, where I first finally earned the starting job. And, it was a great journey, right? I had a great time the whole way, but to actually get to start was the goal the entire journey. And when they told me I didn't have to play special teams anymore, I was elated. For sure. It was great. Special teams beat you up.
You got one more? Do we have any more questions in the crowd?
Anyone in the crowd? Anyone in the audience? Any questions?
Bueller.
That was coming, Jamie.
Bueller.
You got one here? I love mentorship as just like in life more so. When it comes to sports, coaches, their hours are too long. Like they live in the facility. These coaches live there. They get there first thing in the morning, and they spend no time with the family. And because of that, coaching's not for me. Just like I would be like, hey guys, it's 5:00. I'm out here. And all the other coaches be like, we still have like 7 hours of film to break down and catalog. And, so just and then to be a great coach, you got to continue to be a student of the game. Right. And I don't watch much football outside of, I go to every Bears game, but I don't watch a lot of football. Right. And even when I was an analyst for NFL Canada for 3 years. I was the Bears analyst for Fox for another 3 years. Right. My co-hosts would come with like pages of notes, and they wanted to renew my contract. Why? And did not just like, I'm not going to be great at it. I needed to start studying and taking notes and like watching film. Jesse Palmer, who covered the Super Bowl with me. Jesse is an almanac. The stuff that he knew where this guy played this in college. He knew everybody's stats. He just he loved it. Where, if I wasn't, covering the games, I was not going to be doing the research and doing the studying. Right. So, coaching requires that same amount of like passion in like the X's and the O's and the studying and the breaking it down and just the long days and nights. Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible, right? So because of that, just coaching is not for me. Yeah, absolutely. My welcome to the NFL moment. Oh, what was my welcome to the NFL moment? Well, interesting. I'll give you an off the field welcome to the NFL and just how cutthroat the business is. When I broke my ankle in Cleveland, while I was a Brown, they had like a FedEx account where I could ship stuff via FedEx as a Brown, and it was like an amazing discount. I don't remember what it was, but it was just like they hooked it up. When they cut me, I had to ship all my stuff back to Canada via FedEx. I was going to ship a bunch of stuff back, and I called, I think his name was Jad, and like, hey, can I use the FedEx account? And they were like, no, you can't use the team FedEx account.
Well, that sounds like Cleveland.
You're technically no longer a Brown, so that's for players.
That Cleveland stuff for you.
But it just so happened that I had these like 4 massive, and I don't know if the NFL still makes them. They used to make these like massive beanbags for teams, and I had 4 of them. And at the FedEx, I gave them to the FedEx lady, and she hooked me up. She gave me the discount still. And I think previous to getting cut from Cleveland, my mindset was like, oh, this is a game, right? I was 21. I got to the league. I was just like fun. When the Browns cut me and all these business transactions happened, when I got to Chicago, I was just a better player. I was more focused. I was here to make the team. I was here to take someone's spot. I was here to I came in first thing in the morning. I was never late. I studied differently, right? So that getting cut, breaking my ankle, and getting somewhat just like thrown out, like Jazzy Jeff. You know how Uncle Phil throws out Jazzy Jeff? Yeah. That's what happened at Cleveland. And then coming to Chicago, I was just so much more laser focused on like, hey, this is a serious business. And if you don't execute, if you're injured, if they're got to make roster moves and you're on the low end of the list, you're gone, right? And so that was a big wake up moment for me in the league.
Shout out to the great Joakim Noah. And, nobody goes in Cleveland on vacation.
So before we wrap up, we all had our glasses out here with the Coogis on it, but we made you something special.
Nice, man. Thank you.
And hopefully you can get a close up of this.
Appreciate it. What we got? And I love those little 71 stickers. Those are dope. All right. Whoa, let's go. Yeah, do you see that?
Look at the eyes.
Let's go. With the laser eyes. With that bear cry. Let's go. No, fellas, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It's been really special. I love the conversation. Love just the energy around what y'all are doing for Chicago sports and for Bears football. So appreciate you having me on the show.
Appreciate
you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Well, I don't think there's any question who's going to get the book. You want to call your little dude up here?
Call my little guy up here?
Yeah, your little
Yeah, so one of the other things I do is I write stories. I write comic books and kids' books. So my sister, while I was playing, had my first niece who's now 13. And I wanted to write a kid's book about, or write a kid's book for her. So I wrote this series of like, I love me, I love football, I love numbers, I love letters, I love colors, just to teach her about herself, colors, numbers, and obviously football. So I have here my I Love Football book that I wrote, and we're going to give it away to a lucky VIP fan out here today. So we'd like to call him up here now, none other than
Mr. Logan.
Mr. Logan, come on up. Congratulations. There you go. There you go, Logan. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. Good job, all right? Keep playing hard, all right? Let's see you on the field one day. All right, Logan. Thank you. All right, y'all. Appreciate it. All right.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Once again, it's your Idonije, ladies and gentlemen.
For those of you that just joined us on the chat online, we are live from the Staley in Chicago, 1736 South Michigan. Come check it out. Good food, good drinks, good people. Before you leave, don't forget to tip your server, tip your bartender for those good drinks and that good
food.
Echo
in here. It's like an echo in here.
It is.
Well, don't tip over though. Don't tip over. Tip them. Don't tip over though.
Yeah, don't be no tipping pipping.
Oh, that's a whole
soon.
nother.
Hey,
that's a
I'm
whole
sorry.
nother podcast.
Hey, I'm sorry.
You waited
Oh,
till
wow.
the end. You waited
No
till the end.
tipping pipping.
Don't let him come in if he comes here. But this has been great podcast. And do we have any final words, guys?
I mean, normally we would do shout outs, but you know,
We don't
I
have.
think we got the shout outs right here. So everybody, shout out to you all, beautiful people. Shout out to the staff of the Staley. You know, they've taken care of us.
Yes,
We
very
appreciate
much so.
you guys. Anybody else that we can think of that didn't make it that's in the chat? Normally we have a long thread,
Which we do.
but we're not going to be able to get to that
through all
tonight.
that. Yeah.
But thank you for showing
Thank
up in
you
the
all
chats.
for chiming in.
Definitely.
Everybody who said something in the chat, we appreciate you. Of course, if you did not say anything, we still appreciate you, but you are officially a lurker. Everybody knows.
L for love. Good times.
But we appreciate you anyway for fooling with us. So thank you. Everybody here that has not tuned in to the Chicago Clubhouse podcast, do it.
Please like and subscribe to the Chicago Clubhouse podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a lot of fun. We talk to a lot of amazing people like tonight. And it's a lot of fun talking to them and hearing their stories, talking about Lovie Smith or whoever the coach may be. We talked to some Bulls also. So they may talk about Phil Jackson. They may talk about Michael Jordan. We talked to Craig Hodges before.
Yep, we did Kendall Gill.
Right, Kendall Gill. So it's a lot of fun, guys. So just check it out. Clubhouse, Chicago Clubhouse Network on YouTube. And on Facebook, Chicago Clubhouse Podcast. And I think
that's about it.
Yeah. So for Frank the Tank, T Nick, JB, I'm Foul Mouth C. And we all like to say, we out.
We out.
You got to decide whether you're a wolf or a sheep.
We might not be out. No. Yeah.
This has been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production.